Hello, this is Man Cave Comics. I'm doing a last minute competition video for Unruly Simians just for the Hellovit competition. And I've procrastinated and I'm doing this at the last second, but as Mark Twain said, why do tomorrow what you can do the day after tomorrow, right? So it's a very interesting question. I've been thinking about it for quite some time, and it's, to me, not an easy question to answer honestly. And even people who think they're being honest, my suspicion is they're being naive, but I'm not here to judge. I've liked the video so far, and I'm a little surprised at how many people want to be Aquaman, which I find pretty funny. And I find it funny that Unruly wants to be Human Torch. I think that would be very impractical personally, unless you were smart enough to have a flame-proof suit. But more likely than not, there would be a major worldwide APB out to kill your ass real quick if you had that power. It's a tricky one, because to really say what you would do is part of the question, but what the rest of the world do is a very important question as well. Because when the world feels threatened, you would be in trouble unless you have cosmic powers, which we're not allowed to have in this video. Merely being able to control animals or turn invisible or burst into flame would be a nice gimmick, but fear would potentially rule regular folks, and very difficult. So I think it was Metarog was going to be Invisible Woman, and I can't remember if you'd have her force field powers. That is one I almost picked, but he already did it, so I don't want to be redundant. And but that's a clever one, and Metarog might actually be honest with it. If it was Bub's power, forget about it. He'd be the king of the peeping toms anyway. And so would I, by the way, so probably a good idea for me not to have that power. The thought of what to do with powers is not a new question, and this is a great, what I have this book here for is, this is A History of Comics Part 1 by Steranko. And Jerry Siegel, who invented Superman, was inspired by a book by Wiley called The Gladiator from 1930. And this character in this book had Superman-like powers, impervious, very strong. And he had a nice quote from the book in this History of Comics. I'll read it. So the character Danner pondered the use of his incredible powers. Quote, "What would you do if you were the strongest man in the world, the strongest thing in the world, mightier than the machine?" He made himself guess answers for rhetorical query. I would have won the war, but I did not. I would run the universe single-handed. Literally single-handed. I would scorn the universe and turn it to my own ends. I would be a criminal. I would rip open banks and gut them. I would kill and destroy. I would be a secret, invisible blight. I would set out to stamp crime off the earth. I would be a super detective, following and summarily punishing every criminal until no one dared to commit a felony. What would I do? What will I do? So, it's a great question. I'm going to assume that I've acquired this power as an adult, so I can almost honestly answer what I would do. And if the question was, what would you do if you were born with these powers, then it would be naive for me to even contemplate, because if you're born with powers, who knows how that's going to develop you, what kind of person you're going to be. Hopefully you're going to be a good person, but I think Superman is an idealism to work for good when we have such power. My fantasy power, after lots of thought, would be Spider-Man. His spider senses, super strength, able to stick to walls. I'm not nearly smart enough to invent webbing, so forget about that. That's the one I would choose, probably. It's not such an all-encompassing power that would make me a dictator, as, no matter what your spider senses are, at some point a bullet's going to catch you. in the real world. Basketball is one of my favorite things to do. So as a 50-year-old with suddenly had Spider-Man's power, I just go dunk on people. Similar to Biggie Shaq's answer when he would be invincible. He just beat the hell out of everybody. I love that answer. So for me, it would be, you know, it would be great to have that kind of agility, strength, and I don't think it would be too imposing on people to raise massive alarm as long as you're smart about it. If I really needed the money, I could always join mixed martial arts and just get people to tap out without totally wrecking them. You know, that would be my fantasy. Spider-Man, my boy. So thanks for the competition video, Unruly, my brother. I was late in getting here, but your sense of humor is right up my alley. I love your story, and your taste in comics is par excellence. You mentioned Sandman was one of your favorite series ever. That is one of the few full runs I own. You mentioned Dreadstar is one of your favorites. That's one of the few full runs I own. So you're like my brother from another mother with comic taste, and appreciate it. Appreciate you, my man. Take care.